Welcome back to the channel. It's an honor to walk alongside you again on this ongoing journey of awareness and inner healing. Whether you're here for the first time or returning to deepen your understanding of the self, I'm grateful you chose to be part of this space today. In this video, we are going to explore something deeply intimate, yet universally relevant: the path from self-rejection to self-reconciliation. In simple but powerful terms, how do we move from asking why me to finally saying, "This too is me"? At the core of so much of our suffering is not just what happens to us, but how we interpret it. We often carry wounds, not just from pain itself, but from the stories we tell about that pain. We believe it shouldn't have happened. We believe we are broken. We wonder what we did wrong. And the most painful part of that narrative is the isolation it creates. We start believing we are the only ones who feel this way, the only ones who failed, the only ones who struggle to forgive ourselves. But what if healing doesn't begin with fixing? What if healing begins with accepting, not as resignation, but as recognition? In the world of spiritual and psychological growth, reconciliation with the self is often the most difficult and least glamorous aspect of the journey. It doesn't look like mountaintop epiphanies or radiant bliss. It often looks like sitting in silence with memories you've run from for years. It looks like crying over a truth you tried to deny. It looks like breathing into shame rather than fighting it. And eventually, it looks like holding that shame with compassion, like you would a trembling child. Let's begin with the question we all ask at some point. Why me? Why did I go through that experience? Or did I lose that person? Why did I mess things up? Why can't I be more successful, more stable, more loving? This question, while natural, often leads us into deeper spirals of self-blame and victimhood. Sometimes it's not even phrased as a question, it's a statement of resentment. This shouldn't have happened. But as long as we resist what is, we create an internal war. Now, this is not to say that pain isn't real, or that we should deny injustice or minimize trauma, but there comes a point when we have to ask, is my story helping me heal, or is it keeping me stuck? Here's where the pivot happens. When we stop asking, why me, and start saying, this too is me, we step out of resistance and into ownership. We are no longer asking for an explanation from life. We are no longer trying to edit the past. We are integrating it. This too is me doesn't mean we approve of everything we've done or everything that's happened to us. It means we stop fragmenting. We stop exiling parts of ourselves. We stop pretending we can only be whole if we erase the parts we don't like. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your life as a mosaic. Some pieces are bright and beautiful. Others are dark, jagged, and sharp. If you only show the bright pieces, you don't have a mosaic, you have a lie. It's only when you accept every piece that the full picture emerges. And more often than not, the pieces you wanted to hide are the very ones that make the image beautiful, meaningful, and real. So what does it look like in practice to move from why me to with this too is me? It looks like acknowledging your jealousy without shaming it. It looks like admitting your fear without collapsing into it. It looks like recognizing your anger without justifying it, but also without denying it. It looks like realizing that the version of you who made a mistake was doing the best they could with the tools they had. It looks like speaking gently to yourself when your mind says you're not enough. And most importantly, it looks like bringing compassion to the parts of you that never got it, maybe as a child, maybe as a teenager, maybe even yesterday. True self-reconciliation is not a finish line, it's a way of being, a practice. A choice you make over and over again, especially on the days when you feel least deserving of love. In Buddhism, we often talk about the middle way, not swinging between self-indulgence and self-hatred, but walking a path of steady, awake kindness. This applies inwardly just as much as it does outwardly. So many people who look successful on the outside are at war within. They've achieved goals, built lives, even cultivated spiritual personas, but still cannot sit quietly with their own heart. This is where the deepest work begins. Because when you can sit with your own heart, when you can turn toward your pain, your past, your patterns, and say, "I see you, and I will not abandon you," you begin to change at the root. Not by force, but by presence. Not by punishment, but by integration. One of the most liberating realizations is this: you do not need to be someone else to be worthy of love. You do not need to fix every flaw before you deserve peace. You do not need to erase your past to have a future. You simply need to stop rejecting what already is. Let's talk about some tools that can support this journey. Journaling is powerful, not for venting alone, but for honest reflection. Ask yourself, what part of me am I still trying to hide? What memory still makes me flinch? What version of me am I ashamed of? And then, write a letter to that part, not from the critic, but from the higher self, from the witness, from the loving parent inside you that maybe you never had outside you. Meditation also becomes different on this path. It's not just about watching the breath, it's about watching your own self-concept unravel, and not running away. Sitting with the thought, "I failed," or "I'm not good enough," and breathing into it until the thought loses its grip, until it becomes just a thought, not the truth. Therapy, of course, can be invaluable. Not because you're broken, but because you're human. Sometimes we need a safe space to unpack the weight we've been carrying, to have someone hold up a mirror and remind us of our wholeness. Spiritual community is another essential. Not perfection-driven circles, but honest, courageous communities where people admit their struggles and celebrate each other's growth. Healing is not a solo project. It happens in connection. And perhaps the most underrated practice of all, self-forgiveness, not once, but daily. Forgiving yourself for not knowing what you didn't know, for surviving in the only way you knew how, for being imperfect and still worthy. Because you are. You are not your worst moment. You are not your greatest fear. You are not your loudest critic. You are the awareness behind all of it, the space in which transformation can occur. When you say, "This too is me," you're not giving up, you're beginning. You're planting the seeds of real peace, peace not dependent on change, but on presence, not on arrival, but on acceptance. And from that peace, real growth blooms. Not from pressure, from grace. Thank you so much for being here and sharing in this moment of honesty and healing. If this message touched you, I invite you to reflect and share. What part of yourself are you learning to accept? What moment in your life have you struggled to say, "This too is me too"? And how can we, as a community, support each other in this journey? If this video brought value to your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Thank you for watching this video. May you continue to walk gently, love deeply, and accept fully everything that has made you who you are.